We'll go an hour and 45 minutes and take it right up to the women's basketball game. Get you guys ready for Uconn, Notre Dame. I just want to be there for the handshake. Football coaches like that handshake before the game. Certainly really excited about our ability to continue this journey on, being invited as one of the 4 teams in the college football playoffs. It's hard to be there, you know. I think it's a combined 50-1 of the 4 teams. This is, what we work for. Our staff has done an incredible job. Our players certainly deserve all the credit. Each and every week, they had to perform at a high level to get to this point in winning all their games. So, as I told them, really doesn't matter about what people think or say. It hasn't been that case all the year. It's been about what we do, how we prepare, and how we play and execute. So, at the end of the day, we're going to play Clemson in Dallas, and the team that executes the best on that day, as Lou Holtz used to tell me, it doesn't matter if you're the best team in the country. It just means you need to be the best team that day, and that's all we're focusing on is being the best team on the day that we play Clemson. So we're excited about that opportunity, and so we continue the journey, and we'll get to work on that here later this week. So I'm sure you got a lot of questions. I don't have a lot of answers other than we know who our opponent is, and we'll continue to put our plan together here over the next couple hours.
Yeah. Brian, down to your left here. How much does the 2015 game you guys played factor into maybe motivation for these next few weeks?
I don't think that there's much motivation there. I think there's some, we're familiar with, a lot of the things that they do, and they're familiar with, structurally some of the things that we do. We have 2 new coordinators, they don't, right? So I think we're a little bit more familiar with what they're doing offensively and defensively. But other than that, there's no, the external factors don't really play a big part of playoff competition. When you have 4 really good football teams, it's really about execution because they're good football teams and who executes the best. The external things really don't play much into these games.
And then how much will you handle this preparation in a similar way to the first week of the year against Michigan? 2 big teams for you, obviously. You get 4 weeks here to prepare. How much will that mirror each other, these 2 preparations?
It's different. It's different. It's the best way I could tell you, it's a little bit like so it's not like a bowl game preparation. This is different. And keep in mind, we've got some guys that have this game opportunity as well. So there's 2 factors here that are different than a bowl game. One, it's not a one and done situation. We expect to win and continue to play. And 2, we've got some guys that can play in this game, and we don't have to use a redshirt year for them. So those 2 factors are involved. The other thing is, you're really dealing with a preparation to continue to play. So this is like, the best way I could probably put it is this is like spring ball preparation, preseason camp, and in-season wrapped all in one. So it's a little bit of a different preparation.
Brian, how do you find, kind of following up, how do you find the sweet spot between rest, recovery, and actual game planning and so forth? And is it vary from year to year with your team?
Yeah, so this is a comfortable area for me. I built, kind of who I am as a coach on playoff competition and being in the playoffs and understanding how to prepare during, playoff competition. And so I got a pretty good sense of how we need to prepare. Now we've got exams going on, and that has to be taken into consideration. But you're also you got to get them peaking for December 29th, and peaking in a sense of tackling and execution and special teams and all of those things that are you got one shot at it. And so you have to have all of those things, humming, at a high level against great competition. So that's kind of what I said is that, there's going to be some days where we're just out there in helmets. There's some days out there that we're running a, bench control with every kind of situation that could happen in a game. And there'll be some times out there running, inside drill where we're grinding, 70-play scrimmage, tackling. So all of that has to be part of the plan, and you have to do it while you've got exams going on and making sure that you're resting and recovering. So I think I've got a pretty good sense of how to do that. Our guys trust me that we'll get it done the right way, and we'll go to work on that, beginning really on Saturday.
I would imagine when you invested in Aaron Banks in October, you kind of had one eye toward what you might see in the playoff. I'm wondering, how has that investment paid off for you, and what's maybe the capacity for the line as a whole to improve during December?
Well, I think there's been steady improvement throughout the entire season, and I think you're going to continue. We'll have this conversation next year about their continued improvement because, obviously when we talk about Tommy, he's a guy that continues to improve. Hainsey, Liam, and Banks. So you have four guys that they're getting better each and every week. So there's improvement there. Sam's the veteran of the group, right? And so I see it each and every week as improvement as a group. I think we expect to see that through these next few weeks as well, that they'll continue to grow together. So I don't see how that's going to change. I see that continues to evolve as an offensive line unit that continues to get better. I think Liam's ankle will be better. He's been limited with a high ankle sprain, and he's fought through it. So I think you'll see a healthier left tackle. But Banks continues to get better. Tommy gets more confidence each and every week. So I just think it's a group that, is getting better each and every week. Finalists for the, best offensive line in the country. I mean, they're not the group they were last year, but those two kids that played here last year, they're I think two of the top rookie linemen in the league. So hard to replace those two.
What are the early returns with Myron so far, and what do you think you might be able to get out of him in a playoff?
Yeah, he started moving around yesterday, so I'll get a better eye on him later this week. I'll be able to answer that question a little bit more in depth, but the early reports are that he's moving. I think we'll probably next week get a better sense when we get him in football-related activities to give you a better example of, hey, I saw him do this, I saw him do that. He's cleared in the weight room. He's at, I think he was 80% on the Alter G, which allows him to do fully, on the ground movement exercises. So I think we're really close. I'll have a better sense next week.
And with Brandon, is there more value to you for him to be your number 2 quarterback or to explore other roles for him, or can you do both and get something out of that?
I think we've all seen that every team that has a Brandon Wimbush tries to get him in the game. I think Kirby tried to get Fields in the game, but God, is it hard, right? It's hard to disrupt the rhythm and the timing, and we're going to keep working on that. We'd like to see Brandon be more involved in the game because we think he can impact it. It's just trying to get him into the flow of the game without disrupting what you're doing. So as much as I keep answering the question about, and they're valid questions, we have to do it seamlessly so it makes sense and he's part of it. We're not going to protect him in the sense that we did during the year. If we can get him in and not disrupt the rhythm of the offense, we're going to play him and not worry about, well, we got to keep our number 2 safe.
Coach, how proud are you of this team?
Well, pride's kind of a, you save that for when your kid gets an A on his first chemistry, right? Or he comes home, and doesn't miss curfew, right? That's for me as a parent, that's pride, right? This is more of a sense of, the best way I could explain it is that I'm happy for them, right? That they took a process that requires delayed gratification in a world where everybody wants it right now, and they put aside a lot of those things that require immediate gratification and put it aside and said, I'll wait for that, right? I'll put that aside. And so that's a different feeling. That's a sense of gratitude. That's a sense of accomplishment, and a sense of completion for me that we have a group that's special that can do that.
And then in the ESPN show, Coach Dabo said that you should be the coach of the year. What does that mean to get respect from a guy like that?
Dabo's good at that, deflecting all that. I think Dabo should get it. Look, there's so many candidates. Coach Clark at UAB, there's a program that for 2 years was not playing football 2 years ago. So there's a lot of deserving candidates. I didn't get into this business to get Coach of the Year. So that's great that he said that. I think he's done an incredible job. I think Nick Saban's done an incredible job. But if it's like our players, right? If they came in here and said, "I'm only in it to get the Heisman," we would be like, "Okay, well, what about team awards?" I'm more interested in our guys winning a national championship.
Coach.
Yeah.
Brian, over here, was wondering if you had any anxious moments after the games were played yesterday about with everybody doing their campaigning to find their spot. In with that regard, and prior to that, had you guys decided, I think maybe we're probably in. Here's who we're probably going to play, and have you started doing some scouting on Clemson before the fact?
Mm-hmm. So, I have a way of handling things in my own mind before. I felt like if we didn't get in, we were going to go the UCF model. And I had already talked to somebody about a statue, a Brian Kelly statue, right? I mean, we would be the national champs. So a statue, and then I'd get on the play like a champion sign with 12-0, and that'd be fine with me. So I had already convinced myself that if we didn't get in, that'd be fine too.
Do you think 4 teams is enough in this? Do you think they should expand it?
Well, you have this as a Power 5, right? And that's why Central Florida is excluded in a sense, right? And so the only rational explanation held through today, right? If Georgia gets in, then it throws this whole conference championship thing, out the window. So they kind of held serve there. But I still think the debate is out there as to whether 4 is sufficient, because it's pretty clear that there were 6 teams that were clearly there, and it has been that case. So I don't think the conversation is going to go away. And to say that there's not an appetite, I'm not sure that is 100% correct. I think that's a good news story. And a good way not to. I think there's going to be continued conversation about it.
If you would, could you share us the time what you have scheduled as far as with the exams coming up, when you'll be able to do things with the play? When are you guys scheduled?
Well, they had, yeah.
When they will go home,
Yeah.
where you will regather.
I'll give you a quick rundown on it. We went 3 days last week. Weight training. We ran them 7-on-7. Unsupervised, the things that are allowable by NCAA. This week, we'll go 4 days, and then we'll practice on Saturday and Sunday for the first time. So we'll get practice 1 and 2, if you will. We have our Echoes banquet on Friday. 2 weeks, if you will, after the game will be conditioning, weight training, and getting after it. I mean, really getting after it in the weight room, with some running, some 7-on-7, and then our first 2 practices will be next Saturday and Sunday. So we get into Thursday being the last day of classes, Friday, Saturday, Sunday being reading days. So we have to be selective with our times, and then we get into exams, and when we get into the exams that second week, we have to be really intentional with the times. We only have small slotted windows, so our practices have to be segmented a little bit different than a traditional practice.
And then when the exams are all done, you'll practice a couple times here and then send them home?
Yeah, we're going to leave on the 21st. We'll finish up on the 21st. They will then be reporting to the site on the 24th. So they'll get a few days with their family, report on the 24th, and then we'll play on the 29th. We'll fly all back here together in preparation for the championship game.
Thank you.
Brian, towards the middle. I know yesterday you spent the afternoon putting your patio furniture away. I heard
I
that.
did. Yeah, I had snow all over it.
Last night, did you spend any time watching Clemson? And whether you did or not, what have you seen from them this year, and what do you anticipate as being their strengths?
Well, certainly their offensive firepower is outstanding. Etienne at the running back position, great depth. We all know about Trevor Lawrence and what he can do at the quarterback position. Wide receivers, defensively, one of the best, defensive lines in the country, and a team that wins and knows how to win. So, again, I just, Dabo's done an incredible job with consistency. I think 4 consecutive ACC championships. So, a winning football program. Great culture, great players. You have to go take it from them. They're not going to give it to you.
You said earlier that you've kind of built your career on trying to be a good playoff football coach. How are the playoffs different from just a bowl game in your mind?
Yeah, the bowl game is a whole different mentality. You're thinking about yourself and what bowl gifts you get. What's the, this is it for me. Maybe I don't play. I don't want to get hurt. There's a different mindset. We're on a journey here. We're going to continue on the next step. We want to win a national championship. So it's just a totally different mindset and getting yourself ready to play that first round, or in this instance, the semifinals.
And we've heard this a little today, but will that be your language with the team? Not that we have a game, but we've got a game and then another game? Is that
Yeah, it's a playoff bracket. It just happens to be a little bit further along. We're deep into it. All of our work was done in November to get us into the Final Four, and now there's 4 teams left. They're all great teams. You got to be really sharp for 2 weeks.
Coach over here. In December of 2012, you guys were celebrated to the heavens. The Miracles campaign, playing for the national title after many down years. Manti getting all the awards. You, Era, and Lou on the Home Depot show. And Alabama was kind of smoldering. This year, it seems like you guys are somewhat in the background. Everyone's talking about Alabama may be the greatest ever, et cetera. How is that maybe perhaps helping in the preparation and the focus this season compared to 2012?
Well, I think the best thing about it is the 2012 Alabama team's not in this playoff bracket, because people forget how physical of a football team that was, offensively and defensively. So that's probably the best news. The second part of that is that this is a better prepared football team. Coaching, the head coach, everybody associated with it, our staff, support staff, everybody's been through it. And I can prepare our players better for it as well. So our football team is much more balanced. We were going into that game on the backs of our defense. We can hold our own on offense in this run as well. So I just think better prepared all around. It doesn't change the competition level. There's still great football teams, but let's not forget that 2012 Alabama team was pretty special.
What did you most learn about yourself and the team in the preparation from that 2012 experience and apply it to now?
Well, in terms of preparation, I thought our preparation was fine. It's just that the moment was really big, and so we'll prepare for, the playoffs and the moment and flipping to that competitive mindset, which we've done a much better job over the last year and a half in preparing our guys for that. So I just think we're further along. I'm better at it in terms of being able to help our kids with it. And I think just being in that moment helps you prepare your football team for it.
You had mentioned earlier about, the potential to play some players, freshmen, without losing a year of eligibility.
Yeah.
Are you investigating that option with, say, some receivers or others who
Yes.
haven't played?
Yeah. Well, they've been practicing for us, and there's some things that we think we need against the competition that we're playing, and we'll see how that plays out over the next few weeks. But we think there's a couple of guys that could help us in a few areas. Yes.
Can you be specific? Or
Well, I think if you look at our offense, there's some areas that I think, from a speed area, that I think could help us out.
Thank you.
Brian, you said you're better at preparing your team for the moment over the last 18 months or so. How so? What are a couple things you can point to?
Well, I just think that just the whole episode last year of the Miami thing, where it was such a big moment, and I thought we were ready for it. The playoff environment is similar to that, and so I want to make sure that we handle it in a similar fashion. So we'll take some of the precautions or some of the steps necessary to make sure that when we flip to a game kind of mentality, that they're ready for what may happen in that kind of environment.
Personnel-wise with Ian Book, how much do you think the month break will help the rib injury and just sort of getting him back to maybe where he was in October?
Yeah, Ian, to me, is he's still evolving as a quarterback. I mean, he drops his shoulder and he runs through a defender for a first down. That's not a guy that's worried about his ribs. I just think that, in a game situation, he's still evolving as a young quarterback. And I think, there's going to be a couple of games where he's not, at his best each and every week, but his B game is pretty good. We're just going to need his A game, for a couple of weeks. So I think just the more practice he gets, the more time that he's out there, the more efficient that he's in practice, I think we're going to see the growth continue for him. I don't know that the injury really was a huge factor for him not to be as efficient.
So I guess he wasn't 100%, but he wasn't 50%. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yes. I don't think it hindered him to the point where he missed the double move to Fink. You know what I mean? I just think, look, every game's different. Every game presents itself in a different fashion. That was his first rivalry game against, the Trojan helmet and the mystique of the Coliseum. And may that be big for you because you've been to the Coliseum many, many times, and when you walk in there, that's nothing to you. That's the first time he's been in that stadium. That's the first time he's played in that game. That's different for a 20-year-old. And so he needs to experience that. He has. I think he'll be better for it moving forward.
And just lastly, kind of a personnel note, Kevin Austin, is he available?
He is.
Right now? Okay.
He is, yeah. Look, at the end of the day, I mean, you guys know, if a guy's not available, his leg's not broken, right? His leg's not broken. But he's got to do all the things. He's got to have all the traits necessary for him to, be involved in what we're doing. So you can put 2 and 2 together.
Thanks.
Coach, right here, down in front. Earlier today, Sam Mustapher, a couple of the other guys talked about how, it's exciting that they make the playoffs, but really it's nothing to celebrate yet. As a coach, just hearing that from your guys, does that, I don't know, make you happy that they're not really celebrating this, that this is just kind of a step rather than an accomplishment in itself?
Yeah, 12-0 barely got him into the playoffs. So, it doesn't there's no accomplishment, right? This just got us in, okay? That was just enough to get us in. Now we got to go accomplish something. And so this is what they wanted. I can put it in front of them, but this is what these guys wanted. They want to win a national championship. So all they did was punch their ticket into the opportunity in the playoffs to win a national championship. So now it's go time. Now we got in. Let's go achieve something. So that's how they see it, and that's a great mindset.
Is that kind of an uncommon mindset for a team to have? I feel like when you go 12-0, accomplish an undefeated season, and then make the college football playoff for the first time in Notre Dame's history, that feels like an accomplishment. Is that kind of rare for a team to not view it that way?
Well, their why is different. Their why did they come to Notre Dame? They didn't come to Notre Dame to not be a national champion. They came here to be a national champion because that's the standard. Listen, they go 12-0. They don't even get on the play like a champion sign. You don't get on that sign. You don't get on that sign if you win a national championship. So there's no significance of it. So they get that. That's their why. Their why is to win a national championship. So for them to sit around and pat themselves on the back for being 12-0, that doesn't get them anything. So they get that. That's why they come here. They want to win a national championship.
On the Clemson side, they also made a quarterback change midseason, went to the true freshman. When you look at Clemson's overall season, do you see similar kind of story arcs between the two, you and them?
Not really. No, I mean, honestly,
Yeah.
Their backup quarterback leaves, right? He transfers. Our kid stays, and helps us win a crucial game against Florida State. And I'm not, saying anything negative about it, but it's a different story, Their quarterback goes down against Syracuse, and they've got to bring in a third stringer to kind of rally the troops to win the football game. We go to Brandon Wimbush, and here's a kid that's won, 11 games. So they're kind of different stories. They still end up being, undefeated teams during the regular season, but they get there differently. Yeah.
And lastly, for me, you were on the recruiting trail a lot this week.
All week.
Yeah. How much excitement did you find amongst parents, amongst recruits, that sort of thing, about the season that you guys just had?
I didn't wait in line in the coaches' offices this week. It was awesome. I guess if Saban was there, I'd probably have to wait for Saban. But no, I mean, it's certainly Notre Dame has always carried a great amount of respect in recruiting. But it's certainly a lot easier to go around the schools and get that kind of recognition.
Brian, obviously, as you mentioned, you and your staff were busy this past week, but have you kind of assumed that, since last week, that Clemson was most likely your opponent coming up?
Yeah, I think we were thinking that if it was chalk and it stayed the way it was going to stay, and the teams that were supposed to win would win, yes, that it would be Clemson, and we were preparing accordingly.
So did your guys have an opportunity to start looking at them this week? Is that a natural thing to do under the?
Yeah, but to the level that none of the coaches really sat down and we haven't game planned. But here's the one thing: we've seen Clemson a lot this year because of the ACC. Okay. They're part of our film exchange. Right. So there's one thing that we do know is we've seen a lot of Clemson film from offense and defensive perspective.
And what makes their defensive line as good as it is?
Well, their players are really, really good. I don't mean to be.
No, but I guess I'm looking for specifics of those players that you're referring to.
Well, they have all the pieces, right? So they have the long, athletic edge player with the physical two-gap inside player. So they don't have just the one, you know, kind of player that most defensive linemen have, a one-dimensional player. They have them across the board. Long, athletic edge players, inside two-gap players with quickness. So, like, there's no weakness across the front four. I mean, they have all those guys. And so you can't pick a particular guy and say we're going to run at him or we're going to run away from him or we're going to slide the protection to him. Well, if we slide it over here and we leave him one-on-one, that's a problem. Or we're going to chip this side with the back. If there's a one-on-one across the board, they're all problems. That's what makes it difficult.
And not personally having looked a whole lot at the season yet, but I know that South Carolina had some success through the air. How were they able to do that? Obviously, you have to control that defensive front.
Well, they're young. They're young. They lost some players back there. There's some younger players playing. They're aggressive. You know, Brent's always been an aggressive team. We threw it pretty good in the rain in 15. The king, you got to protect. If you can protect, you know, you can get the ball out. There's an opportunity, but if you can't, good luck to you. You're going to be on the ground half the day.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. See you guys.